Hi, everybody. Bobby Moore here, and I am excited to do my first ever live broadcast on company pages. And I just got access to it recently, so I thought I want to share it with you. A great talk today, talking about the 8 key ways that thought leaders build their authority brands. And if you are on one of my company pages, because I am part of 4 of them. One is my Ray Allen one, my Bob Umar one, my the one I have, what's the other one? There's DYPB, Discovery Personal Brand, and then, of course, the Thought Leadership Brand Club on Clubhouse. And I thought all of them are relevant to this, so I thought I'd share across all of them. So what I want to talk with you today about is how to build a thought leadership brand. What are the 8 key ways to do it? And, of course, I'll also invite you to learn more about how to do it with some of the stuff that we're doing. So hopefully you'll get some benefit out of this. And I'm just going to check my phone to make sure that I've got everything here. Is it showing up here? Is it showing up? There we go. And the live stream is showing up. Boom. And of course, there we go. All right, good. So I see my phone there. It's all working. So if you are here, so number one, if you are watching this, comment below and let me know where you're from, right? Are you calling in from North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia? I'd love to know. That's the first thing. And then I want you to go into the post itself, and you can see the link to the program running. But let me just dive into thought leadership branding. So why is thought leadership branding so important? Well, it is the way for people to set themselves apart. It's a way for them to build authority, to build influence, to build credibility. Thought leadership branding is a way, and according to the data, the data is actually quite powerful. In fact, I have some data here, which is, 76% of executives and CEOs who use social media and build thought leadership enhances their credibility. 80% of people said that strong thought leadership pieces increase the trust of an organization. And so, building a thought leadership brand or presence is actually going to go well for you if actually you are willing to put the work in and do it. It's going to elevate and get you those job promotions. It's going to help you get business leads. It's going to help you ramp up your career or your business. And it's also going to get you those opportunities to, thought leaders, because they have that reach, they get speaking opportunities. They get opportunities to speak on media, on like film, television, radio, newspaper. They get opportunities to write books. They get sought after for advice, for coaching, for consulting. And all these things come because you're now seen as an influencer. You're someone who's driving the conversation in your field. And that's why people want to connect with you and they want to work with you. So that's why it's so important to understand why thought leadership branding is so important. So I'm going to talk about the 8 key things that thought leaders work on that build them that build their brand so well. Now, thought leadership branding is broken into 3 kind of key areas, but I'm going to drill deeper into more specific stuff. So the 3 key areas of thought leadership branding is, one is, of course, is people. The idea of building lots of relationships, so deep relationships, broad relationships with colleagues and friends, and then, of course, having lots of followers. But it also requires you to do number 2, which is to innovate new ideas and content, because what you want to do is you want to demonstrate your expertise. So influence is nice, followers are nice, but if you don't have the expertise with it, then you won't be seen as a thought leader. So putting ideas out there, putting content out there, sharing your expertise, letting people know exactly, what you stand for, what you believe in, and the ideas you have around your expert areas is what's also going to set you apart. And the third one is the idea of constantly working on communication, whether you're communicating via video or text, doing storytelling, public speaking, writing blogs, but even working on those skills to try to get better, right? So if you look at those 3 kind of main criteria, the first one, people, Oprah Winfrey is a thought leader in her field, and she has lots of friends and connections, but she also has some really deep personal relationships and friendships, and she has tons of followers. You look at the content piece, innovating new ideas and expertise. Well, you'll have people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who's doing videos on entrepreneurship. You'll have Beyonce, who's a thought leader in her field, writing new songs. You'll have Warren Buffett, who's writing financial investment reports to be the head of his industry, to be the authority in his field. And then finally, number 3, communication skills. People like Gary Vaynerchuk are doing videos, and Oprah's writing books, and they're working on it with the writing and the speaking and putting themselves out there, and they're constantly getting better and better at it. So that's why it's important to do that. Now, as we drill into thought leadership branding, let's go into the 8 ways in which you can do it. So number 1 is manage your mindset. Now, every single person I know has struggles with mindset. So do I. I work with a coach on my mindset. When I work with other people as their coach, I help their mindset, because we always have narratives and frames in our head that make us think a certain way. I particularly use a coach to help with my narratives and frameworks in my head around food, around binge eating and food addiction and diabetes and things like that. And other people, have it with their business. They like, well, I'm not sure, I feel awkward doing sales calls, or I feel awkward posting on LinkedIn, or I feel awkward speaking on stage. And so, manage that mindset is going to be one of the greatest things you can do to get that journey and firmly rooted in something that is processed and gives you more confidence. And so manage your mindset is number 1. Every single person I've ever worked with have always done that. And so this 5-day thought leadership branding program I'm doing next week, so December 6th to 10th, for 1 hour a day, I'm going to be doing a 5-day thought leadership branding challenge where I invite you to come join me, and I'm going to give you some of my best content material for the last 15 years. Some of the best content from all my keynotes I've done from around the world. And day 1 is on managing mindset and building confidence. Because that's so key, because that's going to feed into everything else. Day 2 is going to be about building content creation and community building. So whether it's LinkedIn or Clubhouse, whatever you might use, that's what it's about. Day 3 is about storytelling, how to become a really good storyteller when it comes to your content, when it comes to your team meetings, when it comes to your meeting people and like networking. And if you worked on the mindset, it's already going to help build your content and your community. It's going to help with your storytelling. Day 4 is about building meaningful relationships online and in person. Again, if we work on the mindset, it's going to help with building those relationships. And finally, day 5 is all about personal branding. Personal branding is what's essential for more clarity, focus, and alignment. But it gives you more purpose and direction. But the clarity is really important, because once you're clear on who you are, how people perceive you, and where you want to go, then you're going to be able to use that. And what's interesting is that actually feeds into your mindset. So if you imagine your mindset's at the base, if you end with personal branding for clarity, focus, and targeting of where you want to go to ramp up, that it's going to feed back into your confidence. And that clarity is going to add to confidence with that. And that clarity is going to help with your content and community building. That clarity is going to help with your storytelling and your relationship building. And so that's why day 5 is all about that, to propel people. Now, we're not going to solve your problems on personal branding, thought leadership branding in 5 days, but the idea is that I'm going to give you everything I've got in my toolkit to help give you all the steps you need to get to that next level, because you all have a personal brand, but you have to learn how to manage it. And then once you understand how it works, you can then propel it to a thought leadership brand, which will then unlock all these opportunities for you, right? It's going to, if you're a business owner, it's going to double your income. If you're a senior executive, it's going to give you opportunities for promotions to be VP or CEOs, or it's going to give you cool new opportunities outside. If you're putting a digital marketing strategy together, it's going to ramp up the content and ramp up the how good your content's going to be and how well received it's going to be. It's going to start to build and build and build. And that doesn't take overnight, but like in 3, 6, 12 months, it's amazing how far you can go. And there's countless examples of people who've done that. So number 1, managing mindset. Okay. The other thing that helps with diving deeper. Number 2 is, so number 1 was managing mindset. So working on mindset is really key. Number 2 is speaking with confidence. So the more you can speak with confidence, the more it's going to enhance your stories, the more it's going to enhance your content, the more it's going to enhance your relationship building. So confidence is also related to mindset, but the other big piece now we're speaking. We're actually sharing our voice. We're sharing our story. We're sharing our expertise. We're putting our voice out there, and we're speaking up in the workplace. We're speaking up at networking events. We're speaking up as business owners. And so if you want to be seen as a thought leader, all the best thought leaders out there are speaking. So you look at Malala, right? She's famous for, what she's been through in her books and her Nobel Prize, but she speaks all the time about this, even though she had death threats against her. So when she speaks, and the more she speaks with quite, you see her when she was younger too, and she speaks with such confidence, and that confidence inspires people. In fact, what I would say is confidence wins their confidence. So work on your mindset, and speak with confidence is going to get you the results you want. Number 3, all great thought leaders are creating great content. So like I said before, Gary's doing videos on entrepreneurship and hustle and kindness. Now he's talking about NFTs. Brandon Brown does TED Talks on vulnerability and shame. So people are talking about, Seth Godin does a daily email, and he does a daily email that has millions of subscribers. He writes a ton of books. And so all the thought leaders are creating great content to, again, show their expertise. But content also is really great, not only to show your expertise, but also to add credibility to who you are. Because, let's say I'm trying to hire a young person. Let's say I'm even trying to hire a high school kid, and I need someone to help me with social media. And one person, they might have a great profile. Maybe they have tons of connections. They have a great profile. But let's say another person whose profile is maybe, let's say, just a little bit less as good. It's still good, but it's not fantastic. But they have 10 videos where they talk about the importance of social media and how, and they demonstrate how they're using it to help people, help their high school friends. Whoa, that gets my attention, right? That gets my attention. So content, starts conversations, which then leads to connection, which then potentially leads to clients. So that's why you want to have great content. Okay. Number 4, and we're talking about the 8 ways in which thought leaders build their authority brands. And I've covered the first 2, which is managing mindset, speaking with confidence, and creating great content. And if you're liking this live stream, please comment or reply. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me where you're from. Tell me if you have any questions. If this live stream ends, you can certainly ask questions later. And if you get a chance, please check out the link to the 5-day challenge next week. So number 4 is storytelling. So why is storytelling so important? Well, storytelling is a way for you to humanize the experience, to create a deeper connection. Stories have been the way that people have been communicating about personal and professional lives for years. When I was back when I was in the corporate world, I used to be promoting. I used to do the monthly reports on grated cheese, for Kraft, grated Parmesan. And instead of telling all the results, my manager told me, "Bobby, turn into a story. What's the headline? What's the top headline of the month?" And then dive into maybe two or 3 other related stories. So instead of just droning on about all the data and stats, I turn it into a headline. The headline this month, boom, grated cheese. It takes off in this department, this marketplace, whatever it might be. And that story adds color. Stories, according to science, story actually adds more memorability. It adds greater accuracy because of what it does in your brain. So that's why, again, storytelling is such a powerful tool. It's going to help with everything. It helps your content. It helps with live streams like this. It helps with building relationships. So investing in really good storytelling with the right frameworks and the right knowledge will actually escalate everything you're doing as a thought leader brand. So that's 4 now. Let's get into number 5. Number 5 is building meaningful relationships. And this is one that some people find a little bit harder to do, particularly in the digital world, but you need to learn how to build meaningful relationships both live and online. And some of the best thought leaders are doing this. I mean, they're certainly building those deep relationships that we all have, building broad relationships with colleagues and friends, and what are you doing to maintain that connection, whether it's in person or online? What are you doing to let people know how you're doing? What do you share? I mean, Brene Brown says vulnerability creates a more deeper connection that's more meaningful. So, a good example of that was when the pandemic hit, I sent messages to hundreds of my friends and colleagues and say, "Hey, I'm just checking in. How's everything going with the pandemic? Because it's pretty crazy. And listen, if you want to get a Zoom call and just chat for 30 minutes, I'd love to just talk." And in 2020, I booked 300 calls. And I talked to various people and I learned about what they're going through. And I shared what I was going through. And it was a really deep connector to do that. And certainly it was meaningful to be able to do that. And there are ways to make meaningful connections, meaningful relationships, even online. So, just sharing comments and sharing about yourself and being responsive, being detailed, being empathetic. These are all things you can do to build more meaningful relationships. And so I'll cover that in great detail in the 5-day course. But that's another thing that all the best thought leaders do. Sometimes you'll message someone who's a well-known influencer thought leader, and they message you back, and like, "Oh, thanks so much." I'm like, "Whoa, thanks so much for reaching out to me. I'm grateful that you you thought of me. And people really love that. They actually love feeling like they are important, and they love feeling heard. That's why I love doing live stream. That's why I love doing social audio with Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse, because there's a chance of connection. And building meaningful relationships, again, is going to enhance your networking. It's going to enhance your stories. It's going to enhance your community building. And that's why it's a big part of thought leadership branding. Okay, so that's 5. Now let's go to number 6. So number 6, all the best thought leaders have actually deeply explored and clearly crafted their personal brand. Now, personal branding is something that's really, really important. We all know, and there's data to support how personal branding can positively affect your impact. It positively affects the alignment of employees in an organization. It adds to productivity and loyalty and retention. There's thousands and thousands of benefits of personal branding. And most people think of personal branding as a tool to stand out and be noticed, which is true. Strong personal brands are noticed. Strong personal brands are clear. Strong personal brands they resonate with you because people have worked really hard on it. But what a lot of people realize is that another big power of personal branding is the clarity and focus it gives you for your path, whether it's a personal path, whether it's a professional path, whether it's a corporate path, whether it's an entrepreneur path, whether it's an academic path. And, personal brand is divided into 3 areas. One is the discovery personal brand, which is the deep dive, self-analysis, self-assessment, emotional intelligence work, feedback mechanisms, online assessments. Then there's part 2, which is the design your personal brand. This is where you're looking at, okay, what are my assets? What am I good at? What do I need to work on? What are my marketing materials? What's my plan? Putting everything, designing everything to design your life for your digital plan, your career growth strategy. And then the third one is delivery personal brand. You put your stuff out there in the marketplace, you monitor the results, you then get feedback, and you evolve as you go along. That's what delivery personal brand is. And so most of us are stuck in the 90% of us are in the design. We're always constantly designing, planning, strategizing, tactics, doing all that stuff, polishing, but we don't do the deep dive work, which is really dive deep. Dive deep in your brand, because when you do that, then you get far more clarity and alignment with what you're doing. So you could design your brand and be 45, 55, 65% aligned. And so when you launch that digital marketing strategy, 6 months later, you're like, you know what, it's not going the way I wanted. Or you could launch that business development strategy. Like 1 year later, you're like, it's not going the way I wanted. I don't feel like I'm getting my potential. Or you could launch that career growth strategy, and like 3 years later, you're like, you know what, I'm not happy with where I am. It's because people just design and deliver without doing the deep dive work of discovery. Now, imagine discovery. Imagine diving deep, and you do a survey of 20 of your colleagues, and they'll tell you your strengths and weaknesses. You do your own deep internal self-assessment. You do online assessments. And by doing all that, you start to get a clear idea of who you are, what people love about you, what your superhero strengths are, how you can make that impact. And then it helps you with your targeting, who you serve and how you do it. What's your why statement? What's your mission statement? What's your vision statement? And when you have that clarity and that focus, then when you design your personal brand, it's going to be 85, 95, 98% aligned and effective. And that's where the magic happens. That's when things start to really ramp up. So that's why it's so important to dive in your personal brand. And, I have a personal branding course I've been doing for years, and on DYP, we discover personal brand. That's a big part of what we do. We have an online course with 30 videos and 30 exercises to help people really get that clarity, because most people don't want to do the work, but it's worth it, right? I mean, here's the question I'll ask you. Are you willing to invest 100 hours of your time? And you're like, 100 hours, that's a lot. But it's like fitness. Like, if I want to get fit, if I invested 100 hours of my time, then it's going to have benefits, right? Agreed? So are you willing to invest 100 hours of your time for 500,000 hours of joy, fulfillment, impact, results, and legacy? That's the thing. That's 50 years. So that's why it's such a great investment, right? The best thing to invest in is yourself. And if not you, then who? And if not now, then when, right? The time is now. So like, if you want to invest in your personal brand, you want to invest in yourself, you want to identify all the ways for you to get to that next level, do the deep dive personal brand analysis. And I'm going to take you through the entire process of how it works, my signature methodology of how you do this. And I'm going to do this next week on my 5-day thought leadership branding 5-day challenge. So if you want to join me, it's going to be amazing. Basically 1 hour each day of training. I'm going to give you worksheets and exercises. If you sign up, you get all the replays. It's all my signature content, and the price point is ridiculously low. I normally charge hundreds of dollars per hour, and my keynotes are thousands of dollars, but you'll get 5 of my virtual keynotes essentially for $55. So if you don't see the value in that, well, you tell me where you're going to find better value in that. But I'm doing it because, I think that there's going to be a small community there. I like to build community, and I think it's going to be, I'll give you the tools to get going, and, and I'll be transparent. Some people afterwards want to work with me after, which is great. I love doing that, whether it's individual one-on-one coaching or group coaching, but it's still a great way to meet awesome people, hear their stories, and give them that boost they need. And not everyone does it, that's the truth. I mean, they'll do stuff, they don't do it. People sign up for a gym membership, they don't go. People sign up for a course, they don't do the work. But I'm committed to you. I'm invested in your success. I really want you to get to that next level. Maybe you have a specific area you want to work on. So the 5 days are going to be managing mindset and confidence, content creation, community building, storytelling, building meaningful relationships, and then personal branding for greater clarity, alignment, and impact. That's what it's for. And so, and all the eight ways that thought leaders build their authority brands, they're all going to be covered in what I'm talking about, right, in those 5 days. So that's why I invite you to check out the link that's in the post. And I'd love to have you join me. And if you have any questions, just again, you comment, put the questions in the comments or reply to me, and I can certainly help you with that. So we talked about number 6, having a deeply explored and clearly crafted personal brand for alignment, focus, and impact. So we're talking about the 8 ways in which personal brands and how thought leaders build their authority brands. So number 1 was managing mindset. Number 2 was speaking with confidence. Number 3 was creating great content. Number 4 was storytelling. Number 5 was building meaningful relationships. Number 6 was deeply explored and clearly crafted personal brand. Let's get to the other 2. So number 7 is having that greater focus, alignment, purpose, direction, impact. So, focus is something that people have a hard time with. Now, again, going back to the other ones, managing mindset, building confidence, building relationships, and having a clear brand will also help you with focus. But a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, a lot of career people, they struggle with focus. They're overwhelmed with all the different things out there. They're uncertain about where to go. They have narratives that hold them back from moving forward, right? They're too stuck. They're too lost. They're too unfulfilled in what they're doing, but they also don't know where to start. They don't know where to go. And the key is to find that focus, to know where you're going to get the best bang for your buck, and put that time, that energy aside. Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about, can't you carve out just 5 hours a week, right? Forget about Netflix for, that 1 day or for 2 days. Carve out 5 hours. Well, imagine what you do with 5 hours a week. This 5 hours a week in a year is 250 hours. You can do a lot in 250 hours. So having that focus is going to get you more results. In fact, 20% of your time will lead to 80% of the results if you have the right focus. That alignment is important because it's going to drive you. I have a why statement that drives and fuels me all the time. It's called, there are lost, stuck, or unfulfilled leaders everywhere. That's my why statement. And that fuels me because I know how it feels. I've been there, and I know exactly the people who feel lost or feel stuck or feel unfulfilled, and I want to help them. And that purpose and direction is going to, keep you steady, keep you moving, and that's when you get the impact. Because when you have a small series of successes, you start to build up to have bigger successes and even bigger ones, and that's when the impact and magic happens. So the best thought leaders they're having greater focus, greater alignment, purpose, direction, impact. And then the last one, and now we're at the last one, which is we're talking about the 5 ways in which thought leaders build their brands. And the last way to build your authority brand is to leverage LinkedIn or some platform, right? So LinkedIn is the one I typically talk about a lot, but I mean, there are people who are building thought leadership brands on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. There are even people I know that have a thought leadership brand on Pinterest, right? because they built it there. And you can actually build YouTube. You can build a thought leadership brand anywhere, but it's important to have kind of one flagship place where you're doing the most of the work. A lot of people, there's a lot of debate around this. I say that a lot of people say 100% of time should be on that one platform. I disagree. I think it should be 80%. 80% of the time should be on that one platform. The other 20% is integrating some of the best ones. So for me, for example, I'll tell you what I do. I leverage LinkedIn. That's my main platform for sharing my expertise, building my value, demonstrating my thought leadership brand, and also making strategic connections, right? And that's kind of where I spend 80% of my time. That's where all my content goes. This content is going on LinkedIn. I did another post on my personal page this morning. And so that's where a lot of my content goes. But I then integrate it with other platforms. If I do a video, I'll put it on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. If I do another post, I might put it on Facebook and Instagram as well. So I do them in other places, but not as much. I integrate them later. The second big thing I do, probably where I spend 10 to 15% of the time, is Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces, social audio. And what I do there is that's where I build more meaningful connections, meaningful relationships, greater trust. I find that in our conversation, because this live stream, I'm talking to you, and all you can do is comment. You can actually talk to me back and forth. Whereas, or if there's three of us talking to people, but there's not as much interaction. With audio spaces, it's amazing because it's basically democratized podcasting. Everyone can come on stage, everyone can share their thoughts, and the trust building is amazing. So I can build, you can build some great trust with that. So for me, the social audio apps are the new stories. They're here to stay. And so Clubhouse is a big part of it. I use Instagram mostly for personal stuff, but it's a great place to message people because the rate of return on messages is 80% versus 20% with LinkedIn or 10% with email. So that's why I like that. And Twitter, of course, because I have 500,000 followers, is a great place to amplify my brand, put my message out there, and build awareness around what I'm doing. So that's kind of how I integrate, my stuff. So what you want to do is have a flagship platform and then integrate across. So there's different, and of course some brands are getting, are so big that they're pretty much big everywhere, and that's fine. But they did start somewhere, right? I mean, once you have enough money rolling in, you can certainly amplify everywhere. But people like Gary Vaynerchuk or Brandon Brown or Simon Sinek, I mean, they started in one place and they kind of built from there. So those are the 8 ways in which to build a thought leadership brand. And these are the things I'm going to cover in my 5-day thought leadership branding challenge. And so, so, if you have any questions, let me know. Let me review again the 8 ways to build an authority brand, thought leadership brand for yourself. Number 1, managing mindset. It's the root and foundation of everything you do, and it makes everything better. Number 2, speaking with confidence. Your confidence wins their confidence, so work on your confidence. Number 3, create great content. Content creates conversations. Content demonstrates expertise. Content creates connection, and eventually that can lead to opportunities. Number 4, storytelling. Storytelling is a way to humanize the experience, to show that you're a real human being, a real person, and it will elevate the connection and deepen the relationship and memorability and accuracy of people who will remember who you are and what you do. And that affects your content. It affects your relationship building. Number 5, building meaningful relationships. So, and every relationship at every level, whether it's a deep relationship, a broader relationship, or even followers, every single one of them have to be more meaningful. And you can do that with the right tactics and strategies. Number 6, deeply exploring and crafting a personal brand that gives you more clarity, focus, and alignment. When you dive deep in your brand and when you design your brand, it's going to be far more effective, 10 times more effective than if you didn't do the deep dive work. And number 7, greater focus, alignment, direction, impact. So being more focused on your work and what you're trying to do, being aligned with your values and rooted in who you are, and that'll lead to more purpose, direction, and finally the impact and results, legacy, and story that you want. And then finally, number 8 is to leverage LinkedIn or some of the platforms as your flagship platform, and then integrating the other ones on a much lesser basis. I usually do 80%. 80% for me, 80% LinkedIn. For you, could be 80% Twitter or TikTok. Doesn't really matter. But as long as it's one, and then everything else can be integrated really, really well. I integrate LinkedIn, audio spaces, Clubhouse, Twitter spaces, Instagram, and Twitter as my primary source for building my business. I still use Facebook for my personal friends and stuff and showing off my kid photos, but for my business, those are the 4 that I integrate. So those are the 8. And so if you like this content and you're interested in working on one of these things, and what I'll say, of these 8 things, Are you perfect at all 8 of those things? If you say yes, you're lying. None of us are. Like, I mean, I'm constantly growing and building, getting better. Now, some of them I'm much better at. I'm much better at building relationships. I'm much better at storytelling, right? I'm pretty good at speaking with confidence, right? So, managing mindset, okay, I'm not as good, but I've worked on it for years, and so I'm better than most. But we're always working on stuff. So it's important to understand what areas you're really good at, but also what areas you need help with. So, because if you want to be a thought leader brand, you have to identify, well, if are you lacking storytelling? Do you wish you could build more meaningful relationships? Do you wish that you create better content and build community? If you do you wish you could have a better mindset and confidence? Then if you do, then take this course, because each day 1 is managing mindset and confidence. Day 2 is content creation, community building. Day 3 is storytelling. Day 4 is building meaningful relationships live and online. And day 5 is personal branding for clarity, focus, and impact. And I'm going to spend an hour each day and then take your questions. I'm going to send you the replay. I'm going to give you worksheets to do. And you're going to have an entire fantastic path to really get you going to that next level. So if you're interested in coming to this, again, the price is fantastic. It's really, really cheap. And I do it. And again, my coaching rate is hundreds of dollars an hour. My keynotes are thousands of dollars. And so for $55, you're going to get basically $11 per class. You're going to get all my best stuff. And you're also going to it's going to be a small class. You're going to meet some really amazing people too. And I'm going to take the time to understand your story and where you're trying to go. So, all of us need to work on this. What do you need to work on? What do you wish you'd be better at? Maybe you only want to come to 3 of the 5. That's fine too. You want to come to storytelling. You want to come to content creation. You want to come to the mindset piece. Yeah, do those ones, and you can skip the other ones. But I think that all 5 of them are really important they all work together. They all work together in different ways. So if you are interested in joining, you can click the link in the post to learn more about it and see what it's all about. And you can just message me if you have any questions, and DM me on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help you out, but I'm doing this because I've done it before. I've done it 5 times this year. I've helped hundreds of people. It's been a really great journey. And right now, with the digital world and the virtual world and this new hybrid, people realize that having a strong digital presence is really important. It's going to go a long way to helping us be better. And so that's why I'm doing this. I've talked to 300 people in 2020 that they're looking to either pivot or transition, or they're looking to ramp up. It's one or the other, or both. They want to pivot or transition, or ramp up, or pivot, transition and ramp up. And so this is the best way to do it, right? To make sure it's aligned, to make sure it's focused, to have the tools to take it to that next level, so that personal branding is what they say when you're not in the room. Thought leadership branding is what they say when you enter the room. So if you like this and you understand what I'm talking about and you understand the value of this, I encourage you to please take a look at the link, ask me questions. I'm here, I'm accessible, I want to help you. One of the reasons I'm doing the live stream on my company page is because, I'd like to get more engagement. I'd like to get people commenting and sharing their thoughts. And I'm here, and the company pages are here to serve you, right? But they can only serve you if you're willing to do the work, ask the questions, ask for help. One of the biggest challenges too for people who are struggling to grow is that they don't ask for help. And when they do ask for help, then they don't do anything because of their mindset. So it's important for you to really understand how to do that. In fact, if you really want to have success with building a thought leadership brand, there's a bunch of things you have to think about. Number 1, clarity goes a long way. And they're all C's. Clarity is one. Coaching is another one. Coaching gives you accountability and focus and soundboarding. Consistency, being consistent will start to yield results that you want. Confidence, to go after things you want to do. Community, to support you and ground you and to give you feedback. And then content. Content will also, if you're doing all those things, they'll all work together, right? But start with clarity. That to me is the number 1 thing. Clarity is the mindset piece. Clarity is the personal brand piece. Clarity is the foundation for you to serve everyone better with relationships, content, community building, and everything else. All right. So that's it. I just want to share a little bit of that with you today. Hope you found this useful. If you like it, please share it with your networks. Please ask questions. And I'd love to, I hope to see you guys there on Monday, December 6th to 10th. the 5-day thought leadership branding challenge. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And I also look forward to your questions. All right. And I hope you enjoyed. This is my first ever live stream on Company Pages. So let me know what you thought. I hope any sort of feedback would be great. This is it was pretty casual. I just kind of sitting here in my living room, but I thought I'd do it. All right. All the best to you. Take care. See you soon.